أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسولنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه وسلم. So we have been discussing the question of who am I, and we were trying to find an answer to this question from the guidance that my maker should have provided me. And Qur'an comes up with the claim that I am your creator's speech. I am here as a guidance for you to distinguish truth from falsehood. Perfect. This is what I'm looking for myself. But let me see if it is correct. So I cannot really buy into the claim just because somebody is claiming that it's a speech of God doesn't make it speech of God. So then we talk about some criteria for what we would expect from speech of God. So if it is, if my maker tells me something, what would I expect out of such a guidance? So we said that it cannot be it has to be here and now, in this room. The one that kept feeding me with air and water and everything for the past 34 years is the one, and also the one who woke me up today in the morning, who knows everything about me, is going to provide me a guidance. So this guidance should be very relevant to me with every single word and sentence in it. It cannot be like, here is a bunch of wise words for humanity, and take your share from it. Part of it is related to you, but the rest is none of your business. So it shouldn't be like that. Or it cannot be such as, here is in the past, something like this happened, like there's a story, and get some lessons out of it for yourself. This is not a proper guidance. The proper guidance would be, I am going to place myself in it. In every single aspect of it, it should be relevant to me. This is what I would consider as a guidance. And a few weeks ago, we were talking about, again, as Qur'an says, they would say that, well, this is the stories of the old. Like, you are just telling us stories of the old. So do we approach Qur'an as such? Is it like the stories of the old? Or is it my story? So stories of the old would mean we take some text, and we were talking about, let's say, War and Peace from Tolstoy. It's telling us a story of some historical time. Yeah, people went through such trials and tribulations. To some extent, it's relevant to me. But to some extent, it's relevant to me. It's not perfectly addressing me. So, but Quran says, no, this is a guidance. It's not Asatirul Awwalin. This is not the story of the old. It's your story. I am telling you about yourself. So you should find everything in it as it points to and talking about you. So this is our general theme for this term to study, especially what appears to be as stories in Quran. And one of them that we started last week is the story of Adam and Eve. But at the beginning of this story, it starts with a conversation between the Creator and the Satan, or Iblis. So we started reading the first two verses. We can quickly recap these two verses and continue with the rest of it. So we have been studying Surah Al-A'raf, and last time we studied verses 11 and 12. So let's reread them and remember, mentioned a few points from last time, and then we can continue with the rest. So I will read Arabic, and Brother Birkan, you can read and remind us what was the content for last week. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَاكُمْ ثُمَّ صَوَّرْنَاكُمْ ثُمَّ قُلْنَا لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ اسْجُدُوا لِآدَمَ فَسَجَدُوا إِلَّا إِبْلِيسَ لَمْ يَكُنْ مِنَ السَّاجِدِينَ. Translation.
Yeah, indeed, we have created you, and then formed you, and then we said unto the angels, prostrate yourselves before Adam. Whereupon they all prostrated themselves, save Iblis. He is not among those who prostrated themselves.
Yes. What was the point? As if you remember from last week about this part.
I remember I didn't like this situation where these young people not here because I have to read now. No, I'm just kidding. So the parts that I remember is we discussed the idea of angels in our life. And then I guess we just started with the idea of Iblis, Shaitan, of the angels. We studied it from a different perspective, different than, let's say, historical account or traditional account, in which we ask the question, what kind of aspect of life we should consider when we're thinking about angels, an angelic aspect of life. And we said there's very interesting, very maybe surprising aspect of life, which is we have a communication with objects around us. Like I have a relationship with a tree or a flower or other people. And from a physical or material perspective, it's so surprising because having a relationship and even sometimes a communication between myself and a tree and flower is something very surprising, very interesting. Because I look at a flower and some message comes to me. Like I enjoy, for instance, the colors of the flower. Or the flower tells me something about his or its creator. So this communication we talked about a little bit, and we said as if, and this is a strong as if, like it's almost is, as if there's a conscious being in front of me when I look at the flower that communicates with me. And we said maybe this conscious entity that we are communicating is what is considered, what is meant to be in Qur'an. So in your life, you're not alone. You are surrounded by these conscious beings everywhere. And we call them as angels. It's almost what Qur'an tells us. And we discussed also the meanings that we get from these conscious beings.
As for the prostration of angels to human.
Yes. Yeah. So the prostration of the angels to human is kind of like a serving to human and serving to human needs and senses.
And last time I remember we were talking about if a drug dealer serves me as a human, or let's say a bartender, does a bartender serve my humanity or like another aspect of me? Because when we say human, we talk about this human cognition, human understanding, and reasoning. But a bartender is serving me alcohol, which is knocking out my intellectual qualities. So as if knocking my humanity out and lowering me to like just a living being, like an animal maybe, or a plant. So in this sense, such a thing is not serving my humanity. So yes, this was the, so how does then angels serve my humanity?
How they serve our humanity, they somehow sustain our human needs of looking for a purpose in life or looking for meaning in life.
So this is a fundamental aspect of human. I am, let's say, food. Food is something that I am so much in need of. But animals are also in need of food. But additionally, human is in need of, we have tons of questions. How did I come to here? Where am I going to? So what is going to provide me with answers to those questions? So whoever serves this purpose is truly serving me as a human.
Maybe another aspect would be, I guess it will be more like become clearer in following verses, but maybe we can also take this serving to human as the relationship between me and the angels in life serves me in a way that it puts me in the right direction. So when I follow the messages carried through angels, for instance, true and flower or animal or another object like a chair, it serves me in the sense that it put me on the right direction. It tells me like true things about my Creator. It tells me true things about myself, my existence. Like I ask the chair how you exist, and the answer I get, it serves me well. It's a right answer. But an answer from a satanic message carrier wouldn't serve me because it would tell me something non-existent, something not true, something wrong. It would say, for instance, a satanic message when I ask the chair how you exist would be, oh, I exist myself. Or, there's no such question. There are some atoms which exist, eternally. So there's no such question as how I exist, how you exist. I'm just a bunch of atoms and there's no mystery there. So such a satanic answer doesn't serve me because it, what's the verb? Diverts, yes. Diverts me from the straight path.
So then, yes, this can apply for a plant or an animal or to anything. So you gave the example of a chair. This just brought me the example of a needle. Because I remember I guess it was in secondary school, not even high school, in our history book, there was a picture of a needle. And they said that this needle is, let's say, from 10,000 years before, which shows that there must have been humans who used this for sewing their clothes. So they said that this was made on purpose. So the needle told them that there must have been a maker of this needle. Needles doesn't just happen to be by themselves. And somebody must have used it for sewing their clothes. So the needle told me something about its maker. So now if I look at the same needle and say that since needle tells me that even a needle cannot be without a maker, how come that such an organism as myself or the solar system happens to be by itself? So a needle in this sense can serve my humanity in terms of giving me the answers for this very crucial questions of what's going on. But for the other part, we will come to that. Because for the first part, one thing that I would like to attract your attention that we didn't discuss last time. This verse is saying that, one more thing before coming to that. The verse makes a transition that we mentioned last time. So it says, we created you, we formed you, gave you some shape, and then we told to angels to prostrate to Adam. So as if now it's becoming story-like. The initial part was about, oh, you, and then it becomes like as if it's somebody else's story. So this transition right in the middle of the sentence tells us that actually it's not somebody else's story, it's your story. This is why we are going to read it as Adam being me, and then there is those angels, there's this Iblis. So these are going to be the questions again. Since Adam is here, I will look for angels and Iblis around here as well.
It's interesting. I just realized that when you said, just after the saying like we formed you, and then talking about the angels, Iblis, and so on, as if, giving some more details about the form of the human. Like we formed you such that there's an aspect of you which looks at the angels, there's an aspect of you which looks at the Iblis. This is how we formed you. And now we are explaining you, how we formed you in details.
Yes. And this is the answer that we are going to take. Who am I, right? And he said, we created you, we formed you, and we commanded those people to serve you, like the angels and everything. But there is this guy, Iblis, who is going to be against you. So again, defining me with all these surroundings. So one thing that I would like to ask, it says angels is plural in here. So multiple angels are serving you. But Iblis, a singular guy, if you like, says, no, I'm not going to prostrate. What does this mean? Because
We have a lot more working for us than against us.
good. Good, yes, a lot of helpers, a few or one deceiver out there. But why is Quran talking about Iblis as a single entity or personality, whereas in terms of angels it says plural? I like.
There's one thing comes to my mind, which is about the logic.
Okay.
Like when there's a multiple evidence, like a positive evidence, to prove something, they support each other. So there's a multiplicity there, and as you include more evidence, your support becomes stronger. But for a claim which says, oh, there is no such thing, for instance, even if you have multiple of them, they wouldn't support each other because they would look at a different aspect of non-existence. So just like, you say, you question whether there is moon or not. And if 10 people comes and tells you that, yeah, there is moon because I saw it, as the number of people increases, your evidence increases for the existence of the moon. But 10 people comes and tells you, I didn't see moon. And other people say, oh, I didn't see either. It doesn't matter because there are infinitely many places that they can look for the moon, and they look for some places and they didn't see there. But it doesn't matter how many of them say there is no moon. So kind of like angels telling you truth, they support each other and your connection with the truth increases. There's a multiplicity. But if there is a satanic message tells you there is no God, no matter how many times it is repeated, they don't support each other. But this is very exceptional way of looking at it.
I'm thinking of something, and it made me reiterate what I was just saying, but kind of connecting. But there's this book called Proof of Heaven. Are you familiar with it? It's about this neuroscientist who became brain dead. He was agnostic before he was brain dead. After being brain dead, he's a believer. And he talks about what he saw during those times when he was supposed to not be able to see anything because he was brain dead. And one of the things that he said that, he talked about like the light of the universe, and he said that evil is such, it's such a like, it's just not the norm. You know what I'm saying? It's such a rare thing in the entirety of God's creation that it's like if we looked at this mural and there was just one little speck of black, such that even from this distance, I could not make out that dot. And so he said, this is the reality of evil within kind of creation. But, obviously if we stick our head in the black dot, that's all we'll see. I don't know, I'm just thinking of it.
That is a very good point.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking along the lines of what we concept, but to that for also saying that if because evil is non-existence, there is non-existence. By definition, it's not a thing that exists. But if I close my eyes to something, then everything can become non-existing for me and dark. Meaning that if you tell me that here's the phone, and you see it from a different angle, he sees it from a different angle. But if I close my eyes, there is no phone for me. So denial, when it comes to denial, it's all the same. I close my eyes and there is no phone for me. But this doesn't make the phone disappear. So when I come to this universe, when I look at a needle, when I look at a tree, they all speak to me saying that there is a maker. There must exist a maker. Otherwise, how a needle is going to form or how a tree is going to be there. But if I say that I don't want to buy into any of these, because in the first place, I deny meaning in this existence. Because a needle is a needle if you think that it's a meaningful tool for sewing something. But if I deny meaning altogether, it's the whole existence becomes all the same for me. Needle, tree, a space car, whatever. They're all the same. They do not mean anything. They're all the same. They're all meaningless soup of particles, if you like. They do not differ from each other.
I'm just thinking of the saying of, Isa alayhi salam, where they asked him, why can you walk on water and we can't? He's like, because I see rocks and holes are the same. There's just no difference. I'm sorry.
So then let's proceed with verse 12. قال ما منعك ألا تسجد إذ أمرتك قال أنا خير منه خلقتني من نار وخلقته من طين. For this part we didn't discuss, so we are starting this week, inshallah. So, and God said, what kept you from prostrating yourself when I commanded you? And if this answers, I am better than he. You have created me out of fire, whereas him you have created out of clay. So what's wrong with this statement here? Or is anything wrong with this statement? As if, to my understanding, in here, what is Iblis or what is satanic is being explained. But what is wrong in this statement? Abdurrahman, what do you think?
I like the example you gave last week, the $1 and the $20 bill. There's no difference in terms of value if there's no government backing that. It's just a piece of paper. They're both pieces of paper, but they gain value not because of themselves, but because of something that gives it value, right? Something that's looking at it. And similarly, here we have Iblis and Adam, or we have Iblis saying that he was created out of fire, and Adam was created out of clay. So fire has inherent value, and clay doesn't, or clay has less value. He's not realizing that value doesn't look to the fire or the clay. The value looks to the one that gives the value, which is the creator. That's my thoughts.
So it looks like there are two levels of mistake in here. First, is Iblis is thinking that he is inherently more valuable than Adam. What is his evidence for that? He says, I was already valuable, and the proof of this is I was valuable because of this. You created me from something more valuable. For example, let's say there are two texts here. One is an Arabic poem, the other one is the Qur'an. And since you think that Quran is more valuable, you say that, and let's say you have two ink. One is a black ink, the other one is a golden ink. You say that, okay, I'm going to write the Arabic poem using the black ink. But when it comes to Quran, since Quran is more valuable, I'm going to write it with the golden ink. Satan thinks similar. Satan thinks that, and if a new person comes into the room, continuing with the previous example, seeing the two texts, seeing that one is written with gold, the other one is written with black ink, and since human knows that, well, gold is more valuable than ink, black ink, this text must be more valuable than the other text. This is why they put more money into this. Satan is thinking similar, saying that I must be more valuable because you created me from something that is more valuable. So the problem is two levels. The first level, still Satan thinks that fire is more valuable than clay. And as an addendum to this, he says that I am more valuable inherently. This is why you have chosen to make me out of this. So it starts from like two wrong observations, or it looks like a chain of logical fallacies.
I feel like, I mean, as you're saying that, I feel like that's the same logical fallacy. Both, I think, in Surah Al-Kahf, when you go to the two gardens, right? And the one's like, I think alone never perish, and this is because even if it did, I'd get something better because as if it was a result of who it was, right? But I think in some of the Christian theology in the U.S., you have that same idea, right? That it's skipping my mind right now, the exact theology of it, but the idea that people who are wealthy, and your wealth and material success is an indication of your chosenness and your status with God, which I can never understand is absurd. Just reading the Gospels is absurd. Jesus was like so poor, right?
Yeah.
And the disciples who were, but yet that theology kind of exists, right? And that psychology,
Yes.
even in Monopoly.
Yes. And I guess this is, definitely. I don't forget. There's a name of this theology. What did I say?
That's what, it's skipping my mind right now. The name of the theology.
Rich is favored by God, but there's a specific name for that. Anyway,
The name that I know, Trump is following the ideology that I know.
It's one of the Protestant trends that informs American culture.
yes.
I'm not thinking of it.
So, but at some point, among, let's say, Muslim students, when I used to ask such questions, there was such things as God created me not in such and such country, which is non-Muslim, not even non-Muslim, but even worse, whatever. But created me in this Muslim country from a Muslim family because I was a good soul. He put me here because I was already inherently valuable, sort of. So, like this chosenness idea, like in Quran, this is being mentioned for, say, this Judaism or the followers of Jewish tradition.
Yeah.
But again, if we take it along the same way as we are taking this story, who are Jews in there? Is Quran talking about Jews out there, or my Jewish attitudes? Like there's this attitude being described in there. Maybe I am taking this attitude, or actually I am taking this attitude. This is why Quran is talking to me about that.
It reminded me of a story of memory. The Imam Mursi was telling about himself. He was saying, one day I found myself being proud of all the knowledge, everything I have. And then I tried to convince my nafs that is not the case. So I'm narrating in my words anyway. And then after a point, I was okay, and I accepted the fact that I need to worry about it. But then I realized, like, my soul is telling me something else. And is that yes, they are given, they don't belong to you, but they are given to you, not someone else. Maybe there is something special with you. And then he says, I thought about it more, and then I realized that, like, my answer to my soul was, yes, they are given to me because I was more in need of. Like, only such a knowledge would, put me on the straight path.
I was so bankrupt.
Exactly. Maybe for someone else, they don't need such an accumulation of the knowledge to find the straight path. But for me, it was needed. And that's the reason. And then my soul goes silent, he says.
Mhm. So I guess this idea of value, false value, or inherent value is all there. It is again part of me, and Satan is as if voicing that you are easily being trapped by this.
Our community as well. We are that waswas amongst each other.
Yes.
I mean, everyone we tell them, absolutely. It's because of who you are. Everyone who loves you, they say this.
Okay. And in here we see that there's also one thing that was interesting. Satan is saying that you created me from fire, created him from clay. So again, there's no denial of being created in here. So because when we say, let's say, unbelief as if it is like total denial, in here, this is accepting the fact that he is created, but like there's this partial. Even you before you created me, I was valuable. As if there's this notion. Before being created, is there any I? So this is where things are getting like logically contradictory, but we want to assume that this is as such. I was eternally as if always existing, and I was always valuable, which in a sense means that I think I am some sort of a God, as if, because I am eternally valuable. I have been eternally valuable. I am not created in a sense. So such contradictory thoughts or feelings are there. And
I was something before I created.
yes,
Sounds like.
yeah, as if I was there before I was. So which is contradictory. Yet there's this tendency in me to say that yeah, I cannot deny that I am created, yet I have already been valuable. So this contradictory thought or feeling might be there, and actually it is there, and this Iblis is voicing this out. 13. So now the conversation continues. So the creator asked, Iblis replied, then the creator says, قال فاهبط منها فما يكون لك أن تتكبر فيها فاخرج إنك من الصاغرين. Then the creator now replies back, saying, down with you, then, from this, within parentheses, the translator said, state. For it is not meet for you to show arrogance here. Go forth then, verily among the humiliated shall you be. So what is it that the Creator is sending Iblis down from? As if Iblis is somewhere, and the Creator says, go down from there. What are they talking about? What is this? Within parentheses, the translator said state. What is this state?
It's the state of being honored, right? Because
Honored.
at least brought up from the jinn to worship the angels. And so giving them status from us and
Okay. But again, let's try to make it as within our like surroundings. Because once we bring in the jinn part of it, we don't know even what jinn is. Things are getting a little bit tougher. So let's try to make it personal. So in here, we were saying that this iblis is this wrong thought that, or as if in here signifying this false claim that I am valuable, inherently valuable. So now the creator is saying that go down from there.
So from that like space of thinking that you're something special or
Yeah.
feeling elevated, and from that space.
So in here, Satan is thinking that he's chosen for some reason. But this is a false image.
Like get off your high horse. Sorry.
Yeah. So you think you are chosen, but it's a false image. So I might pretend as if, let's say, I come here walking like this, and I feel like I am the president of America, and I pretend as if I am. Somebody comes and says that, go down. You are no one. Who do you think you are? You're pretending as if you are this super high level person, whatever. Get your senses. Who are you? So Satan is being cast down or in what sent down.
Why am I thinking of like people coming here as freshmen and going from being the top of their class in their high school to like, you know, not being the top of the class anymore, you know?
Yes, very true. Yes. First midterm of freshman year is a wake-up call for such a thing. You think like, oh, so you think when you enter to the college, you think like, oh, I'm going to make double major, I'm going to do this. Yeah, this is my major now. Which other major shall I do? After the first midterm, the first thought that comes, am I going to
What is the day of judgment going to be?
am I going to be able to finish it in 4 years, or is it going to take another extra year? So you go down from where you are, from your false claims of I am superior and I am inherently valuable, I'm inherently superior. Yeah, so this, and the word in there is tatakabbaru, so arrogance or pretending to be larger than what you are. And in there, Satan was saying that I'm valuable, so some sort of a seeing himself bigger than what Adam is. So it says you are not big. So go down from this false image in your mind about your position. Any other comments about this verse that you would like to add?
So it sounds also like the verse is teaching us, giving us a teaching, like with the arrogance, direction you get is down. Like if you have the arrogance, it will take you down. This is how things are. So you are looking for value. We look for value in our life. And we try to get some titles, some appreciation from others, or we want to be loved. All these search for value, always there. And if you are looking for values, teaching says that arrogance is not the way. Because if you have the arrogance, it will take you down.
Your value is not in seeking value within things themselves, because Satan was seeking value within being fire, and I am seeking value within being a professor or something like that. If you seek value in there, you'll go down. You were saying something.
Yeah, no, I'm being reminded of something my mom once said to me, and you know we were working on something, and he was saying about how like some people, you know, they don't have peace in their hearts because of this kind of arrogance that they have, and you know it was interesting what he began to talk about is he was actually talking about insecurities, right? And so I'm thinking about the humiliation part here is really when we think we ought to be something, so that we have this like loss of peace because we think we ought to be something. And that's the feeling of passed down. Like there's this feeling that I ought to and I deserve something. And because I think I ought to be X, Y, or Z, I'm not having, contentment. I'm not having peace. And I feel humiliated. And that even like when we have those kind of insecurities, it is also related to arrogance. It's a kind of because we think that we ought to be. It kind of like went. This is like years ago, but I'm like, whoa, wait a second.
Just to add on the freshman example about the freshman coming in taking the first midterm. Maybe up until that point, they've been valuing themselves based on their achievements and their success. And then what happens when they fall immediately when they realize they can't really do well. They now feel valueless. But then with the perspective that things don't have value by themselves, but instead there's a value giver, like an ever-existent value giver too, which is not dependent on what score you get on an exam, and it's not dependent on how strong or physically capable or intelligent you are, and then it's actually should be a relief for you once you leave the state of valuing yourself based on false claims.
Yeah, I think also it extends not to just like these secular kind of titles, but also the fact that like you might take arrogance and that like that I'm on the right path, or that I'm a Muslim, my father's from Qur'an, right? That police was created from fire, and we were created into the Deen, and we joined the Deen, and we were guided however. But that's not a point of superiority. It's something that should be at the very same way.
Or his 1,000 years of experience of worship.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. With that though, you guys want to pray for me?
Yes, inshallah. Just one more point. So, just to summarize, Iblis is defining himself, his value relative to things. He is not defining his value relative to the source of things.
Mm-hmm.
So he is not defining his value relative to the creator, but he defines his value relative to other things that are around him. So do I define my value relative to my maker, or do I define my value relative to Abdul Rahman and say that I am more handsome than him, therefore I am more valuable? So if I reasonable logical so if as I keep doing this, I guess, so to maybe symbolize it, defining value in horizontal relationship is what makes us fail, because Satan was defining value in horizontal, fire, clay, everything is relative to here. But if the proper description of value would be like a vertical relationship, because in the previous verse, the creator was saying that we created you. He is defining the source of value. It's a vertical relationship. Your value comes from your createdness. Your value does not come from your horizontal relative value of if it is fire or clay, whatever. So let's give a break for 10 minutes, and inshallah after Maghrib we will continue with verse 14. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. We are now at verse 14. So then now Iblis replies, قال انظرني إلى يوم يبعثون. And the creator says, قال إنك من المنذرين. So Iblis says, grant me a temporary delay till the day when all shall be raised from the dead. And the creator replies, verily you shall be among those who are granted a delay, a temporary delay. So what is this delay, first of all? And the second question might be, why is Iblis making a case about everybody up until the time that people are resurrected from the day, resurrected from the death? What is the significance of this resurrection from death? And then Iblis being granted such a delay. What does this mean? What does these signify? She has some comments.
Huh?
It looks like she has some
She has
comments.
Send her out, or is that-
So, as I understand, there will have something that they will realize that they are not special when they die. But I'm trying to understand the link between to that and to realize they are not special. Maybe to think ourselves as a special, it's about it's something about being alive. It's it's a distortion. Actually, it's a cognitive distortion to think that I'm special. So I'm trying to figure out the link between to make distortion and to being alive. I'm not sure.
So, in our reality, what is it that we are looking for, or we are asking for? Some sort of a delay. This guy was cast down or sent down, but this verse comes right after it, saying that give me some delay. So he doesn't want to go down, as if. There's this false image, false self-image, and the Creator, as if says, wake up from this false self-image, go down. You are not that. So, but Iblis says, no, give me a delay. I don't want to go down right now, as if. I don't want to wake up from my dream of false image. I want to keep deceiving myself. I still want to think that I am important or I am valuable. There are some, Satan or Iblis in this case is really symbolizing deceptions that we have one way or another. It might be like about my self-value, self-worth, or about the meaning of this existence. But then I realized that it's not worthy, really. And practically, this happens. So, for example, deep inside, I know that all the titles that I have, they're meaningless, really. Because I'm going to go to grave. This is where everything is pouring into. All the things that I build up with my hands, my career, my reputation and everything. Eventually, if at most I live without harming it up until the very end, I'm going to die one day. So who cares what happens afterwards, what people say after me? Once I die, I'm not going to benefit from being praised by others. I'm already gone. And deep inside, I know this. Even before death comes, I know that it's a lie. I am living with a lie. I know that getting more degree is not going to make me more satisfied or anything, because even if I collect more of it, it's all going to grave. Even if I try to add more value to myself, it's not going to help anyways, because all of them are going to grave. But whenever such a feeling kicks in, the truth of my false image, when I realize that it's pointless, it's useless, what sort of a feeling kicks in? Says, No. It is important. Being a professor is important, or making the most number of publications are important. I am valuable. I don't want to wake up from my dream. Although deep inside I know that it's false. Deep inside I know that, come on, just come to the ground, don't fly in the sky. You're not really there. Deep inside I am being sad, as if the Creator speaks to me, saying that go down from there. You are not really valuable. Meaning that you do not have an inherent value, just to highlight this part. You do not have a value in a way that you think of you are valuable. Your value is somewhere else, but you are looking for your value in the wrong place. Go down from there. You think like you're valuable because you're a professor, because you are this, you are that. Come down. And deep inside, everybody knows this at those moments. But then, what do? I just try to feel important again, because at those moments I know that I am nothing, but I want to feel important. What do I do for that? I just try to get some more thank you from people. Try to do something good so that I'm going to hear some thank you, so that I will still, with my full heart, want to believe in these thank yous. If I didn't do, this person wouldn't benefit. So I am important. I am somebody worthy to be thanked to. Without me, this wouldn't be achieved. So this is how I want to, as if, elongate my dream up until the end comes. And the Creator grants me this. And He reminds me of my false image. Then I say, no, I am insisting. I want to live with this dream. He says, okay, I am giving you delay. If this is what you want, okay, stay with your dream, or keep seeing the same dream. I allow you. It is my reality. If I want to get deceived, I kept being deceived. Any comments?
It reminds me of a film that Tarkovsky is a film, Stalker.
Mm-hmm.
There's a part of the film, there's a place they call zone. Specialty of zone that when you come to zone, what you really want will be happen. But the start point of the zone, the stalker tells the people, be careful, because there will happen what you really want. Your desire will be, not the words will happen.
Not what you speak, but
Yeah,
what you
but
truly want.
You truly want. And he reminds that there is a guy, he comes to Zoom, and after he comes to Zoom, her close brother died after, because it is desirable. So when you talk about desire, I was thinking that maybe sometimes we, maybe unconsciously, but as a desire, we want to be deceived ourselves. We want to keep our gaflet because we want to be with God, we want to be, couldn't remember, recognize the English, masiva. I don't know the English.
Yeah. So things other than the source, the divine.
Yes.
Yeah. And I guess it is very real. Like, I mean, since we are now in a university campus, people in here at least graduated from undergrad, master's, PhD, whatever. So a lot of things we accumulated. And then we realized at a point that in itself it was not valuable. But what am I going to do with that? If I don't try to find a true value in it, or if I do not attempt to find a true value in it, but want to live with my dream of titles are good in itself, I'm trying to find excuses for it. And sometimes these excuses are even being in the form of, well, Muslims need to be in those good fields as well. Muslims should become stronger in science and whatever. Again, I'm trying to make a value which is acceptable, but again, relative to others. Again, in the horizontal domain, I am trying to add value to all these titles or all these things that I'm trying to find value in. And this is a day in, day out struggle, personally speaking. I mean, it's not far away. We are not talking about like somebody out there or those people. And as I seek for it, Creator gives me a delay or opportunity, saying that, okay, experience it. And it looks like you didn't learn enough, so live with it as if this is how I'm finding myself.
I guess we can also take it from the other way. Regardless of our, like how deep we are in terms of like humiliating ourselves, like the Creator here tells us that it's only for a certain period of time. There will be some realization, because like you can take it as He's granting time, delay, but you also can take it as He's granting a realization at the end. Because He's saying that there will be a day that you will raise up the people that are believe, right? So in our case, even if we are lost, if we are trying to find value through all these worldly titles and the wealth, the Creator grants us, that tells us that there will be a day that you will realize what is right. So it's only for a certain period that you will be lost, but then you will be raised up again.
So as if eventually you are going to wake me up, but up until this point, I'm going to stay within my dream.
Maybe I'm taking on the like I'm trying to take it as something more positive,
Okay.
as if like even if you try to deceive yourself, I'm not leaving you alone. Like I will wake you up somehow. Maybe destroy everything you have. Maybe I don't know, give you an illness or something, but I will wake you up.
For example, someone can insist to, I remember Ebu Cehil, someone else, they insist on to not to wake up in the 7 years now. Maybe they realize that everybody realized the truth. But I was thinking that could be an advantage to realize early
So
or
with realization or maybe waking up, like taking, for instance, the illness as a call for wake up. So I'm sure Abu Jahl also was ill at some certain point. I'm sure. Or maybe something bad happened to him. Maybe he didn't listen to the call, but I'm sure there was a call for him as well, like through realization.
He kept hitting the snooze
Yeah.
alarm until it was too late.
So yeah, I mean, Creator doesn't guarantee anything about our attitude. It's not telling that, oh, you will be a better person or something, but He says, I will wake you up, I will raise you.
I feel like there's two different things that are happening here. One is the day of resurrection when you no longer have that opportunity to change.
Yes.
And the other is those warnings along the way, right?
Mhm.
Like as you're talking about like the signs, the deprivation and all these things that are opportunities for us they say to die before you die, right? To wake up
Mhm.
before, wake up in time to actually make a
Yeah.
to turn back.
And because here in the verse, the word which is used for raise up, or it says, yes, raised from the dead, the word which is used for that, it's in present tense. I mean, you can take it as a future, but also you can take it as a present tense, as if, it's happening all the time. Just like you said, like, for instance, when we say die before you die, like we're talking about two different deaths, right? The one is something happens all the time. It may happen while you are living,
The leaving of the
Yeah.
woman.
but then also there's another kind of death, which is death, the real death, which will happen in the future.
In addition to I remember another ayah that Allah described the kafir that they realize and they choose to disagree with it. You remember about the ayah actually for Velid bin Mughira, the father of Khalid bin Velid. Maybe tell me in Turkish, maybe you can translate better. Tarttı, baktı, biçti, anladı, inkar etti, kör olası.
Abasa, Abasa. So this is.
So as you said, Allah wake up everybody actually, but someone choose to keep being wake up, but someone choose to deceive yourself again. Like,
Yeah, I couldn't find the beginning of the verse, but yes.
But I feel like that's part of that's the satanic thing, right? Okay, we know he hears very clearly what Allah's command is, and he's saying I hear and I disobey. And so I mean I feel like that's what you're talking about as well, right? There are people who are like, all right, I think about like white supremacist evangelicals that are planning for the second coming of Jesus. Like, what are they going to do? Come back and it's not like, I don't know why I think of this as an example, but it's the same. Like with the Sahaba, like as you mentioned, like, some of them are like, he's the prophet. Yes, he's the prophet, but he's not from the tribe, so I'm going to. So, yeah.
So just to reiterate what I understand from Gökhan's point, so as if Satan is in here saying that, now taking it from, in this case, I'm taking Satan as an outsider to me, but as if attacking to me. As if Satan is saying that, give me some sort of a time during which, before waking Yusuf up, because you are going to wake him up from his misguidance at some point. But up until this time, I want to keep him in his dream. So I am, let's say, thinking about my degree too highly, and Creator says, I'm going to wake him up from his dream. And it happens like at some point I realize how dumb of a thought this is. So this is not out of my good thought that I get to this realization. I am being reminded of it. But again, then this Satan's statement in here, give me some time. I want to play with this guy a little bit more. The Creator says, okay. And from a positive point of view, be part of his education for some more time. Put him into sleep a little bit more so that maybe he's going to realize, eventually I'm going to wake him up. He's going to realize his faults better. So it might be that, let's say, some people being in a wrong environment, and as they stay in this wrong environment for a long time, and they realize once they wake up, it's being for them like a huge transformation. And they want to turn back more quick. Because if they were in a more mild environment, maybe they wouldn't be able to realize that much of a quick recovery. I mean, there are all sorts of things that are happening in our day-to-day.
Which resembles like what they say for like a child education, right? When your child do something wrong, do not just attack them, correct. Let him or her see the mistake, wait for a while, and give him or her time, and then when it is time, you can warn or tell the right answer. But let him live for a while with the wrong answer, and then he or she will be come to the right answer.
And it will make more sense maybe at that
Exactly.
time. So then verse 16 قال فبما أغويتني لأقعدن لهم صراطك المستقيم. Whereupon Iblis said, now that you have thrown me out of the way, I shall most certainly lie in wait for them all along your straight way. ثم لآتينهم من بين أيديهم ومن خلفهم وعن أيمانهم وعن شمائلهم ولا تجد أكثرهم شاكرين, and shall most certainly fall upon them openly as well as in a manner beyond their ken, and from their right and from their left, and most of them you will find ungrateful. So as if you hear like these two verses, 16 and 17, is like Satan challenging God. What is happening in here? Satan, a creation, God being the creator, but Satan is challenging the creator. How not to take it as a story? What does this mean? How not to take it as a mythology?
So, I don't know whether everyone has such examples in their lives, but sometimes you meet someone who is better than you in some aspect. Like you see some goodness in them. They are more successful, maybe more, I don't know, handsome, beautiful, older, something. And you cannot live with this. Like you cannot accept this because you are special one. Like how dare they can be more successful than you. And it happens more, I guess, strongly when you see someone who's not, let's say, believer, but he or she is more successful than you. And so, I'm the believer. I must be the successful. I must be the one who are given all these benefits. It's just like Satan does at the very beginning. Should be the one who are being prostrated. And then you say, okay, if this guy are chosen, I will try to destroy his career. Or I'm just exaggerating, of course. But what you do, you try to find mistakes. Like when he or she says something or publish something or do something, you try to find mistakes. You being more careful to find the mistakes in their publication, for instance, compared to others. You can let others to go with the mistakes, but not me or her. So, at least, I don't know, sometimes I feel like, so as if this story is talking about my story. I will not let them, successful. As if, trying to say that, okay, yes, you are God, you created him that way, you created me that way, but no, I cannot allow this.
See, she has comments. So here, Iblis is blaming the creator for
Transgression.
for misguidance or transgression. But like, Iblis was the person, the thing, entity, whatever, who thought that he is something more than he himself is. And in this conversation, Creator showed him the truth, tried to woke him up from his sleep. And then Satan becomes Iblis becomes an enemy of the Creator, saying that you woke me up from, you spoiled my joy, sort of. Because I was thinking that my degree is important, and I was hoping if I graduate, I was going to be happy. But you spoiled my joy. You showed me that the degree in and of itself is nothing. So you are responsible for my misery right now, because I am now miserable. So in this case, Satan or Iblis is not trying to find the truth. You are the cause of my misery. And becomes an enemy of truth now. So last Friday there was this quote from one of our friends saying, tyranny of meaning. So you're trying to find meaning in existence, but as you cannot find meaning, life becomes some sort of a torture for you. So then you become enemy of meaning, because you say that, well, if I cannot find it, I'm going to be an enemy of it. And because if you think about it, why would be an unbeliever be an enemy of God? In the first place, they deny God. Why are you being an enemy of God at the same time? So there is some sort of, like, even the possibility of truth or anything of this sort. The reason of my misery right now is the very existence of truth itself. So it shouldn't exist. I am going to be against even the idea of truth in whatever shape or form. So, and I guess a practical example for this one would be, if I used to think that coming from a Muslim family for 10 generations is so much of an important value, and then somebody comes and says that, do you think you're chosen? My false image of value. Because let's assume I didn't put any extra effort to seek for meaning or anything, but I was just satisfying myself by being born as a believer, whatever. Or we can apply to having some sort of a degree. Somebody comes and tells me that, what are you going to do with this degree after your death? And this death is not happening at age 60, 70. Sometimes it happens at age 40. Recently, I am hearing, very recently, 2-3 deaths of very famous neuroscientists. These are the guys which has highest citations, and I'm still at 2 digits in terms of citations. So these guys are like, whoa, they're big stars. And a few of them died of cancer. One of them died of ALS. So for the last 2 years of his life, he's not even able to move. Like, his limbs are being taken away step by step from him. And now he's dead. The relation between him and his citations are cut. So it's a reminder to me saying that, what do you think your citations are going to be like? Are they really valuable? And you go and check Google Scholar every day a few times to see if you have more citations. So this is a reminder to me, but I want to fight against this. As much as I define my value in my citation count, I want to fight against this very naked truth. Although as clear as day, I want to fight against it. And I guess this is the behavior that I find myself in. Because of this truth, now I am into this contradictory feelings. Still, I want to get more of a citation, yet at the same time, I know that it's a futile attempt. If you didn't wake me up, I would happily go and seek for more citations. Still now I'm going to go and seek for more zero. It becomes nothing. And death is just around the corner. I don't know where it is. It might jump in front of me at any moment. So this really makes me angry with truth and say that because of this truth, I am now miserable. You misguided me, sort of. You spoiled my joy.
It's like a frustration to our narcissistic satisfaction.
Mhm.
You don't want it. You just want to keep our satisfaction with narcissism.
Yes, yes. So just as if I was this balloon, so a needle came. So I'm very angry with it now. Again, it's such a contradictory psychology. You know that you are wrong, yet you are angry with somebody who showed you that you are wrong. And since we used to be working in the same lab with Gökhan, so I was coming up with a brilliant idea. And he was showing the mistake in my brilliant idea.
I remember.
And
I never do such things.
like I found some good number, statistically significant number, which is going to make me famous. Then he shows that either it was a bug or like statistically wrong. I cannot make the experiment like this. I was getting frustrated, honestly. Because at least for a few minutes I was famous. I published in such and such place in my dreams. But he wakes me up from this dream. So I guess in larger scale this happens day in, day out. I am now becoming the enemy of this truth. And saying that you spoiled my truth. If you didn't realize, nobody else would realize. Even I wouldn't be realizing it. So it would go very nicely, get published, more citations and everything. But it doesn't.
I guess it's so internal to us, this feeling that described through Iblis, that something goes against our will, we get really angry. As if it has to be that way, but you didn't allow the Creator. And now I'm transgressed, I'm angry to that. And I will, how to say, like, I will respond this by going against you, destroying your creation. Like here. I don't know if maybe it's only me, sometimes I cannot control my anger against objects, like a simple object. You're washing the dishes, and you put them somewhere, and there's an order in the universe. If you put them in a wrong, like a way, they wouldn't stay in balance and they drop, right? You have to follow this order, but sometimes you don't, because you think everything has to be as you like. You just put them as you wish, and they drop. What is the first, the response? You get angry, as if something, not supposed to be like, it was not supposed to be like this. I put it there, it has to stay there. You get angry, and what you do, even if you just not throw the plate or whatever you're washing, you feel that as if, you want to throw it that way. Like you're trying to destroy, you're trying to sit on the straight path of this object.
And also,
that you are not special as you thought.
Yeah, exactly.
and this shall most certainly fall upon them openly as well as in a manner beyond their ken. And from front, from back, from right, from left, this is how Quran is mentioning it. As if truth is there, but I am trying to find like from its left, from its right, like let's say Birkan is showing me that my result is wrong, but I am trying to find a way to just refute his idea from unrelated places. Let's say, let's make it more real. Let's say Birkan tells me about something that I do wrong. Let's say he tells me that you are worshipping your degree, let's say. He tells me, to give an example. Then I say, my response is being, if I know that it's true, then I say, how about you? I am trying to attack the truth by just trying to find something
Reflection.
false in it with some sort of a reflection. And or I tell him that, how about you? You didn't feed the poor yesterday. Something totally irrelevant, but I am trying to save my skin. So trying to find some fault or maybe impose some fault, although he's not faulty. I'm seeing some truth, but I'm trying to find some sort of a falsehood in there to be able to justify my falsehood. Everybody is false, so my falsehood is fine. So this might be understood in this way: from its left, from its right, from its front or back. I am trying to attack. And at the end, Iblis says, and most of them you will find ungrateful. This is how verse 10 was also mentioning. Verse 10 was saying that, yeah, indeed, O man, we have given you a bountiful place on earth and appointed thereon means of livelihood for you, yet how seldom are you grateful? And in here, Satan is saying that you're not going to find them grateful. I'm going to, as if, manipulate them, distort truth for them, which I do myself. So a part of me, or let's say an ear in me, listens to Satan or Iblis and tries to distort truth. And at the end, I am not being grateful. Any ties with grateful here?
Everything won't be enough for me because I'm special. I won't be grateful for anything. Because anything is not special as me. It will be more and more just a person special like me.
So the problem with Iblis's initial point was he thought he is inherently valuable. So he's not thankful for anything.
You deserve everything.
Yeah, you created me from fire because I was valuable. What shall I be thankful to you for? So this false starting point, if I follow footsteps of Satan or listen to Iblis and accept what Iblis is suggesting to me, or this aspect of me as we have been describing so far, I'm going to end up being the same, ungrateful, meaning that I will take things for granted. They were already there. They have to be there. They are not given. I'm not provided.
An interesting part, like when we read, you will find them, you will find ungrateful. Most of them, you will find. I was looking for the most, but you will find. Most of them you will find ungrateful. It sounds reasonable, but when you think about it, like why he's using the word ungrateful? Like it could be you will find most of them disbeliever, or maybe killing each other or stealing. I don't know, any kind of thing could be there, but ungrateful. It's really interesting. So as if there's a saying in Turkish, we say, the alcohol is the mother of every evil. So as if here, the Creator tells us that at the crux, at the source of all your bad doings, there's this ungratefulness. It starts all from there. When you are ungrateful to what are you given, it leads you, unbelief, it leads you, I don't know, stealing, killing, transgression, but it's all about ungratefulness. So the satanic or the message of the Iblis, it's the ungratefulness. It starts from there.
Yes. ungratefulness. And so taking things for granted, never thinking that they are given, never thinking about it. These are all boiling down to the same thing. And I guess in my day-to-day life, I never think of me being given my handsomeness, my intellect, or anything of the sort. I am, at most, what I say is, it is in our genes. Like my fourth generation father, they have all been professors, something like that. I mean, they don't know. But so we have always been smart. So we are taking our intellect from our genes. And now I'm having pride, or I'm saying that I am from this nation, so we are such and such. Again, not seeing it as given by an absolute source. Still finding something.
I feel like the ingratitude also relates to the focus being, like, again, taking for granted and not thinking about what we're given, but the focus on thinking what else, like what was given to someone else, right? Because this is part of Shaitan's thing too. Why him and not me? You know, but then we fall into the same thing, right? Why does this person get the job and I don't get the job? Why does this person get this? I didn't get that. Why do they have this? You know? And we're very discontent because of the things that we see that we don't have, instead of appreciating the things that we do. And then that lack thought becomes
Yes, it's jealousy part of it, as if I had to have it, but somebody else took my share.
talk about this idea of relative deprivation.
Mm.
I just remember like one story I was reading once that, you know, an anthropologist or whatever visited this village, remote village in India somewhere, and the people were living very simple. They didn't have electricity or whatever. It was a very simple life. And he went there and he found them, I mean, I would say on fitra. Right? They all smiled. They were very happy people. We are so blessed. We have this, that, the other thing. He went back 10 years and they had gotten TV at the time. And he met with the same people and they were like, we're miserable, we're so poor, and we don't have this, and we don't have that. But nothing had changed in their life other than this
Seeing others,
See
rest of the
others.
world.
the TV that came in, and now, you know, this comparison that's happening. You know?
The other day, we went to hospital for my wife, like an ultrasound. She's pregnant. So the doctors, the lady doing the ultrasound, was looking at the organs and everything, and she said, "Great, all organs are in place where they need to be, or where they supposed to be." But what the way, like she's saying, is something, you know, it has to be that way, and there's nothing wrong. But when you take it the other way around, as you just said, like this Alhamdulillah moment, like all these organs, and they are all of them, like without exception, are the place which would give the health, whatever, like the structure, which is the optimal form. And all of them were placed like this. There is something to be surprised. It's not something normal. Like you should be so grateful, because it could be like there are all these tiny parts, right? One of them could be out of place, but no, he placed them, all of them, without any exception, in the right place. So even one of them, if was on the right place, that's enough for gratefulness, right? But all of them was at the right place. So grateful times the number of organs. But we take things as so granted.
let's read the last verse for today. And inshallah, next week we will start from Adam. So this is the last verse related to Iblis. So 18. قال اخرج منها مذءوما مدحورا لمن تبعك منهم لأملأن جهنم منكم أجمعين. Then God, the conversation continues. The God now replies, go forth from here, disgraced and disowned. And as for such of them as follow you, I will most certainly fill hell with you all. Now, within the flow of the story, Satan was saying that I'm going to deceive them. Give me some time, I'm going to deceive those humans because of whom, by not prostrating to them, you made me out of path. So you misguided me, sort of blaming the Creator for that, which I do. Then the Creator says, you and all the ones that follow you are low or sent down, and I'm going to fill hell with all of you. What is this hell now coming into the picture? What does it mean that hell being filled with Satan or Iblis and the likes of Iblis? What does it mean? What is hell? And again, the beginning of our, I guess 2 weeks ago, as we were saying, this is guidance. Divine guidance is like a map. And how do I know that a map is true? If it's map of Philadelphia, and if it says Art Museum is here, I need to get to Art Museum by following the instructions. And if I find Art Museum where the map is saying that Art Museum is there, I will say that this is a correct map. This truly guided me to here. So I bear witness that this guidance of Art Museum is correct. I still don't know about the rest of the map, but for Art Museum, yes, it's correct. How can I bear witness to this verse, which says, when Creator says, I am going to fill hell with you and the likes of you, to Iblis? Where's this hell? How is it that the Creator fills hell with Iblis and the likes of him? Can I bear witness to this? Or, because this is a story about the, if we take it as a story, as if it's in the past, but we are reading it as if this is happening right now. So where's this hell?
I guess we can take the hell again as we do with like two types maybe. One is when there's no more room to escape, or when there's no new opportunities, like hell as we know. And also this hellish state in our lives. And I think what one way taking this verse is the Creator is defining us what is hell, and saying that when you are arrogant, when you are ungrateful, the state of you, this is your hell. Whatever you are feeling there, this is the hell. And He knows that when we are arrogant, when we are ungrateful, after a certain time, everything becomes miserable. That nothing will be enough. Everything that we have to have will be weights on our shoulders. And this state of mind is the hell.
So can we say that what Quran describes as hell is collection of such claims that Iblis was making? I am stronger, I am superior. It's a lie, it has no truth. And Creator says this is what hell is filled with. And now if I look at what hell means for me, because this is just a description of hell. So again, Creator describes hell as something that burns me. So now when I look at my life, when do I find myself burning in? Like, as you said, in a hellish state. When somebody comes and tells me that my degree in and of itself doesn't mean anything, yet it is the purpose of my life, and somebody comes and says that it doesn't mean anything. Such a hellish state now I am in. Because all my life I have built to get this feeling of it is important. And for the rest of my life, I was hoping to build further upon it, again, just for the sake of the inherent value of my degree. Still, I am not thinking of any other way of having a meaning in my degree, but the degree in and of itself is valuable. Once somebody points to this lie of me, saying that it doesn't have any truth in itself, this very fact makes me burn in fire. Knowing that I am deceiving myself, I am fooling myself, burns me. This is my hell. Trying to show off to people becomes my hell. Because I want to hear their appreciation, so I pretend. It becomes my hell. It has no truth. So in a sense, hell is really those lies or those false claims, as Satan did, as I do, when I say that degree is valuable. This is what hell is. And the outcome of hell is burning. And I do burn. I do suffer. So all my suffering is stemming from these false claims of mine. This is what hell that I live in right now in here. A hell after I die, definitely there must be such a thing, because I already started burning in here. This is, if you like, the starting point of it. And I say definitely this is as if you see a small river flowing and you are walking by the river and river is flowing next to you. And somebody says there's a lake. So yeah, definitely. There this river is going to, there definitely this should come to some sort of a location in which it's going to become a lake. In my day-to-day experience, I see that this river of hell is flowing by me, and I am halfway through it. I am burning in it, and I see that it's flowing. So yes, eventually after death, if Quran says there is going to be an accumulation of all your lies, I'm going to show them to you, I would say, definitely, this is where it is going to. It's getting collected. And also I experienced this collection in my mind as well. All the lies that I have said so far are still burning me. It's not that my latest mistake burns me, but the previous ones I am done with them. If I didn't undo them, still I am burning because of those past mistakes as well. So it is being accumulated actually. So I carry, as they say, there is no wood in hell. People bring their own wood to here. So there is such a thing. Yes, I do carry my own wood with myself, or even I do carry my own fire with myself. So eventually everybody is going to pour their fire into the same hell and burn all together, where all such thoughts are going to be collected.
I know, I mean, we had the suicide
Yes.
committee. You know, I think I mentioned last semester, right, that I also have a friend who's a neuroscientist.
Mhm.
And I can't help but think like how much the belief in Akhira is like a game changer in this, right? Because when we have this faith perspective, if you have the perspective of these neuroscientists and secular science, rationally, your pain ends. You have pain. If you don't believe in life after death, then suicide is a rational thing. I hurt. My life is miserable. I'm tired of it. But from this perspective, it's committing to that as your final, like that whatever torment is putting someone to that point, it's like committing to it for eternity. I mean, I'm sorry to be like that kind of heavy, but
Thinking like this is the ultimate purpose in my life. And then I realized that it's not going anywhere. What am I going to do with that? So unbearable.
Maybe, but another interpretation could be going back to the very beginning of the surah, where it says, the Creator says, like we're sending down the Quran and the verses to give your heart ease, not heaviness. So try to understand the verse from this perspective, like how this such a warning or threat, let's say. Because when you read it, it's like almost sounds like a threat, right? Can give my heart ease. One example, like a while ago, I was having really bad time in my life, and everything seems terrible. I'm always finding some mistakes about the people, having some fights and so on, like a tiny things, but it gives you really discomfort, misery. And after a while, you start burning, as you said. Something is burning you. You're not happy. Then after that moment, I was talking to a friend, and she told me that maybe this is because you're not your relationship with Quran, with Salah, the namaz, and the prayers is not that strong. Like it sounds very simple, but when I stopped thinking that it was true. Like I stopped reading Quran for a while. I was praying, but just quickly and so on. And then when I changed the attitude, everything starts becoming normal. So as if, my Creator is telling me that when you do wrong things, when you go astray, when you take yourself away from me, I will not leave you alone. I will put you in the hell. Again, hell not as an ultimate destination, but you will be burned. There will be fire in your life, so that you can, as we were talking in the previous verses, that your misery for a short period of time, and then I will raise you up. I will burn you. Just like all these stupid things in my life burning me.
So it's like a warning.
Exactly. Warning me that you are on the wrong path. So again, like taking this verse as, yes, people will transgress. Yes, people will go astray. There will always fire for them waiting.
And fire is a good cleaner or a reminder.
In this life.
Yes, in this life. Once we have the opportunity to wake up.
Yes.
I started watching you this morning.
Oh, you sent that 30.
Have you guys watched this?
I seen it partially. My friend was watching. I seen it.
There's one phase where the sheikh is telling him, okay, you're in this spot now, you're in this spiritual space, and you're gonna be burned, and you're gonna have this happen, and you're gonna have that happen. Just don't stay there too long.
There could be an analogy that Satan creates by fire, and fire creates. It's very interesting.
Satan creates fire or Satan is
Created by fire, but also fire creates, cleans us.
So, in a sense, if we take
So
this,
the dust, we're created from dust.
The clay being having the
So
shape.
we realize
We don't
our
think
sense.
so like for making pot out of clay, they burn it in the oven, right? So, like fire serves the purpose of clay to become like a shaped pot. So, if we go with the analogy,
And the fitna, right, is the purification
Yes.
of the gold.
So we need also Satan to come end our journey.
Oh,
yes, I guess it is part of our training.
part of
And this is what will come in when we go to the story of Adam next, because Adam will be challenged by or deceived by Satan. But if we read it like a story, it looks like out of control, like this Satan thing went out of control. He just break up with God and now going and trying to spoil everything. Or if we read it as my story, I see that Satan next week. So just like the
Don't say don't give the end of the sentence. So that
what? Cliffhanger for next week. Yeah.
So inshallah next week. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين الفاتحة